So as I was saying earlier, I'm going to take a stab at correcting the bend in this radiator support. So you can take a look down the length of the radiator support, and you can see that it's not really that bad. It's pretty close. There's a bit of a roll up this way, mostly on the other side where the impact was. So I'm going to see if I can push that out. Have to take the hood latching mechanism off. And here's the good one that I mentioned that I had. So of course, I need a good reference. So what I'm doing is I take a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and center it, and then press it up tight and mark a line on it. So this is going to be my reference to check the one that's on the car. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to replace it with this one anyway, so not that big a deal. So let's get this off. Of course, I'm doing it by hand, the old school way. Get this one off first. All right. All right, something broke here. Might have to cut that off. Well, it looks like we have a challenge here. This bolt is just spinning because the nut on the other side, which is part of a bent J-nut assembly, is broken off, and it's just spinning in behind. So I've got all the other bolts out. Now what I'm going to do is there's enough flex in this assembly that I should be able to turn it. Well, let me get that screwdriver again. The grill, of course, has got enough bend in it that is binding right here. So I'll pull it up. And then underneath, I'm going to bend this down. It's all spring loaded, by the way. So, there's enough flex in it that I can move it this way, bring it up through to give myself a little more accessibility. Now you can see that J-nut, the nut on the back side, is the nut has become separated from the metal assembly, and the sheet metal is in the way. I can't get a pair of vice grips or a 1/2-inch wrench on the nut in behind. So probably what I'm going to have to do is use a screwdriver or some tool to pry the sheet metal away from the nut in behind so that I can grab a hold of it. So let's see how that plays out. I've cast a little more light on the situation because this might be not the easiest thing to see. You see where the wire nut here hangs down just below the bottom edge of the core support. Rather than screw around trying to pry that out and break it off. I'm just going to use my grinder with the cutoff wheel to see if I can just cut the end off of that J. So let's give it a shot. Move it a bit. There we go. Let's see what we got. There, it came off. Okay, that's a start. Now I should be able to grab it with, I don't know, vice grips or wrench or something. See what happens. Well, that appears to be working. Just have to play it very carefully so the vice grips don't slip off. There she goes. Getting loose now. There we have it. Okay, that's off. Very good. Now we can take our reference line that we put on the good core support and slide it in here and see what we got. See what we got to work with. So I center it where it was, right there, and then push it up, and we can see that there isn't really a huge difference. It almost seems like the worst of the damage is like just right here in the very center where it got bent down. I think though that some of the force may have pushed up, like rolled this thing this way. So there's a bit of that might need to contend with, but you can see how the line really is right on point until you get to where where the hood release was mounted. So that might be what I've got to work with. It may not be the big problem I anticipated it might have been. So some of the there's some additional measurements that I want to take here. I'm just not convinced that the damage that pushed it back here in the front is the only damage to it. So what I want to do is take some measurements at a few other points to see if it's distorted somehow. So using our good radiator support, take a measurement here between the core support mount and the top, which comes to 16 inches on the inside of the ruler. So let's see, that's the same on this side. Okay, so that's symmetrical. So now I want to take a measurement here from the bottom to the top, and I find that it's 16 1/8 inches between the inside edges of the opening. So what I'm concerned about is that not only was this pushed in, but I think it may have been pushed up. So we're going to take measurements on the car now and see if I want to be bothered trying to rescue that core support. Now let's see what we've got on the car. Okay, so my inside measurements from the bottom edge to the top edge on this one is 16 3/8. So it's actually been pushed up 1/4 inch right here in the center. So if I take a measurement over here at the core support to the top of the radiator support, it's actually up almost 1/4 inch. Yeah, we're talking 3/16 of an inch. So I'd have to remove the battery box on this side to get that measurement, but what it looks like is the upper section of the core support is actually stretched upwards. So you know, I could mess around with that, maybe put a board on it and hammer it down, see if I could do something with that. But where the real issue lies is that there's a lot of metal between the top and the bottom there. It's possible that the bend there, or the core support where it mounts to the frame, could be bent down as the core support was stretched up. That's a possibility too. So I'd have to take it off though to check the angle on it and make sure it's make sure it's still 90 degrees or whatever the measurement's going to be on our reference piece. So I'm inclined to think that I should just take it apart and replace it.